Morning, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. It's cold. I spent the morning watching a couple videos, drinking coffee, sitting in front of my warm wood stove. I was watching videos from Tunin Lee in Thailand on their farm. They built a raised goat pen, which I thought was cool. Motivated me to do something different for our goats. And then I was watching a couple of videos because everybody talks to me all the time. You should do biochar. Do you do biochar? So I watched some videos on it. Yeah, I'll probably talk about that later. It's cold out, and so I started peeing in a bucket, and then I dump it out there in the morning on the garden plot in different places every day. Interesting, the buckets of water are frozen. They're over there, but they're frozen. Like where I was dyeing the walnut dye and stuff, that's frozen. But the groundwater is not. Isn't that interesting? Did you see my tactical Crocs? All right, here's my coat. It's been out here in the rain. It's been raining. I was trying to get the inside of it washed off. It rained on it pretty hard when I had the outside up on top of the grill. And still looked pretty cool, so we'll see. Got to get that dried out. I failed to lock up the chickens last night. I didn't shut their door. That's bad. If you do that a couple nights in a row, the predators figure it out. They start having chicken dinners on you. So right now I'm going to go up here, feed them, and then I'm going to talk to you all about a question somebody asked here. You know how I say, Kuhimp, come out of her, my people. And I'm just repeating from the word. And we're going to talk about that. What's that mean? And the specific question, this is what we're getting ready to get into. How far out of her is far enough? Come out of her, my people. What's that mean? What's that look like? I usually have a scoop out here, but oh, the guineas are becoming jerks again. There's a chicken over there caught in the wire. Chickens in the wire, chickens in the wire, fire the food gas. So we're going to talk about that. Right now I'm just trying to feed them with my hand. That's kind of a pain in the neck. Where did the scoop go? I think somebody was out here feeding the chickens and didn't properly put away the red scoop. Yeah. What's up, girls? The latch is frozen. Ah, there we go. All right, come on. Such is the life in the early morning on Shofar Mountain. All right, let me get them some food, and then we'll get to talking. If I had a tripod, I would set this up and let it tripod out, but you're just going to have to be along for the chaos. All right. All right, that's good for now. I'll come back and pick all this up later. There they are. Woo. All right. Come out of her, my people. Generally, the way I use it is to get out of the build-up areas, get out of the cities, the burbs. I don't even know what an ex-burb is, but I saw that used the other day. I should probably look it up instead of being willfully ignorant. But come out of the built-up areas, get out into something where you can raise chickens and ducks and goats and grow gardens and, you know, do that kind of stuff so that you can become self-reliant. One, so that you're away from all the people that are gonna go cray-cray when the world goes crazy, and then thus create problems for you. Come out of all that and get yourself set up now to have some type of community situation where you can be with other people and, again, be self-reliant, right? Raise your own food, provide for yourselves, get your own water. We have, you might not be able to see it. We have on the avocottage, it comes down there, goes around the corner and goes into a 275-gallon ICB tote. Gather your own water, make your own heat or coolness, whatever you need to live, that kind of thing. Because when this world falls apart, you don't want to have to rely on the system. And so to get away from the cray-cray people, to get away from the violent people, to get away from the infected people, to get to a place where you can provide for you and yours. He who does not provide, especially for his own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Kafir. 1 Timothy 5:8. So you come out. And so somebody said, and I think it was the same question, they said, I'm right next to an interstate, but I'm out there and away. Is that far enough? Or something like that. How far is far enough depends on you. Pastor Joe cannot give you all the answers. He can merely steer you in the correct direction. Or some psychobabble crap. But seriously, it's going to be up to you, man. You're going to have to make your own assessment of what you think is coming and what you and yours need. And then that will allow you to decide how far out is far enough. Me personally, I don't want to be anywhere near an interstate. I don't want to be near a paved road. That's me. I want to be in a place that is a pain in the neck to get to, now and later. Because predators are lazy. They really are. There's a reason they eat the sick gazelle, the wounded wildebeest, because they're easy. They're not going for the big, strong ones. No. They're going for the weak because it's easy. Say no, and people back up, usually. They don't want that mess. They're not coming for a fight. They're coming for a meal, right? And so the harder you make it for people to get to you, the better off you are. That's either the walking zombies, walking down the road, or the pandemic, or whatever. Get away from people. But by the same token, it may not happen at all. Nothing may happen. Untoward. I don't believe that, but could happen. Life could go on basically normally for the next, 30 years. You don't know. So you don't want to go be some hermit living in a cabin in the woods. Yeah, I could go live in my little duck house. Right, sorry, I know I'm making you dizzy. I live in that little house back in the woods. Now, you don't want to be that guy or gal. You want to have life. You want to have access to things now while you can have access to things. What are those things? What are those things? What do you want access to? Do you want to go to the opera? Do you want to go to Walmart? What do you want? Me personally, I personally desire that culture less and less as I get older and I see how that so-called culture is devolving. I like this. I like this. But I want to be able to get together with people. If I was living up in the Rocky Mountains, way back up in there, on a little piece, miles from anybody else, it'd be kind of lonely. right? And my last video, you need peeps. I don't want that. I want to be able to access people. I think in a nutshell, you want to be rural. You want to live in a rural place. You want to live in an agricultural place where the people around you are producing food. Around here, many people do cattle, from several hundred head to 15, 20 head of cattle. So, you know, individuals doing cattle to pretty big operations. Big is a relative term. I know. I know. There are huge operations out in Tejas and Missouri, and to a degree Kansas. Agriculture, you know, anymore they're planting that Monsanto corn and wheat and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the hoppers are full of food, right? And so if the system breaks down, that food's not going anywhere. It'll be there. So you better learn how to make cornbread, or, you know, whatever, right? I like poor, again, a relative term, poor rural, not city, poor rural areas, because poorer people in rural areas do a lot to get by. And by that, I mean, they usually have vegetable gardens. A fair number of them know how to go out there and kill a deer, which they're doing right now. It's deer season. They know how to use several diverse streams of income to make things happen. They're survivors, right? They're survivors in a way that will still work when the balloon goes up. And I like country people. I do. I was raised all over the world, sometimes in very rural areas. I lived in a house on stilts in Southeast Asia in the 60s, to sometimes very built up megacities in a glorious apartment with maids and drivers, right? So I've lived in it all. I choose this. What do you choose? But the bottom line is, Kuhimp, how far do I have to Kuhimp? How far do I have to come out? You can, only you can prevent forest fires. Only you can determine that, honestly. You're going to have to do some thinking, picture whatever you think the worst thing that could happen is, and then look around your area and say, how are people going to react? We do not have a very high, again, a relative word, we do not have a very high population density where I am. I mean, houses are scattered pretty far. They're surrounded by acreage. And now there are strips on some major highways where there's a house every half acre or so. But yeah, it's not built up where I am. And I like that. And yet, I can get on the road in an hour. I can be in a, you know, medium, smallish size American city. So that's not horrible. I can get to an airport in an hour and a half, you know, that kind of thing. Hospitals. Are you concerned about hospitals? As you get older, I think you should be. We can get to a hospital fairly quickly. It would probably be quicker to drive yourself to a hospital here than have them come. And see, that's the other thing. The more rural you get, you have to accept less services. I'm quickly becoming a rural person, right? So I can say we rural people. We people who live out here in the boonies don't like those people who move here and then want to start changing crap. Hey, this is the way we do things here. If you don't like it, go back to LA, go back to New York, go back to Chicago. Come here and accept what is. You know, they built chicken houses on one corner of our property. It's a corner of the property we don't use very much. And am I happy about that? I am not. Would I even consider going to court to try and stop it? No, I would not, because that's what they do here. Besides that, all the judges are bought and paid for by Tyson and Simmons. But no, I mean, you knew that when you moved here, dude. That's what goes on here. You know, I lived in Kansas, and there was a guy who had a pretty decent little personal range set up in his backyard. And he used to give classes. He'd been giving classes forever. You know, a couple times a month, he'd have people out there for various kinds of firearm classes. And when he bought it, he was on, like, you know, rolling hills and farmland out there. And he'd build a house on it. I can't remember how many acres he had, 10 or 20 acres. And people moved in, started building nice houses around there. And then they started complaining to the county about the noise. And, oh, I don't like it. He shoots guns in the morning on Saturdays. They did some kind of like cease and desist thing on him. He'd been there forever doing that. You moved in, he had a range and was shooting. If you don't like it, don't move there. That's my attitude. So anyway, how far out is far enough? Only you can decide that, Grasshopper. I think you need to be around people. You know, you need to be able to access people. You need to not worry about people. If all the cars stop, EMP. And for everybody who keeps recommending that I read 1 second after and 1 year after, lights out, I've read them. I've read all the things. But if all the cars stop on the superhighway and your house is perched up there on the hill, where do you think those people are going? You're